In a small town nestled between rolling hills and sparkling streams, there lived a woman named Abigail. Abigail was known throughout the town for her gentle spirit and her kind heart. She had a smile that could light up a room and a warmth about her that made people feel instantly at ease. Abigail had lived in the town all of her life, and she had seen its ups and downs. She had watched as families grew and businesses flourished, and she had mourned as loved ones passed away and hard times fell upon the town. Through it all, Abigail had remained a constant source of comfort and support for those around her. Abigail's kindness was not limited to humans either. She had a deep love for all creatures great and small, and she had dedicated much of her life to rescuing and caring for animals in need. Her home was always filled with the sounds of barking dogs, chirping birds, and purring cats, all of whom she treated as members of her own family. Despite all of her good deeds, Abigail was not a wealthy woman. She lived in a modest house on the outskirts of town, and she made ends meet by working odd jobs here and there. But she never complained about her situation, and she always found a way to make ends meet. One day, as Abigail was walking through town on her way to run an errand, she noticed a small, emaciated boy sitting on the side of the road. His clothes were ragged and torn, and his eyes were sunken in from hunger. Abigail's heart immediately went out to him, and she knelt down beside him to see if she could help. The boy was too weak to speak, but Abigail could tell from his appearance that he had not eaten in days. Without a moment's hesitation, she scooped him up into her arms and carried him back to her home. There, she bathed him, fed him, and gave him a warm bed to sleep in. Over the next few days, Abigail nursed the boy back to health. She cooked him nourishing meals, gave him clean clothes to wear, and showered him with the love and attention he so desperately needed. As the boy's strength returned, he began to open up to Abigail, telling her about his life and his struggles. It turned out that the boy had been abandoned by his parents and left to fend for himself on the streets. He had been surviving on scraps of food he found in dumpsters and begging for money from passersby. But despite his hardships, the boy had not lost his capacity for kindness and empathy. He had always shared whatever little he had with other homeless children, and he had often gone without food himself so that his friends could eat. Abigail had grown attached to the little boy during his stay in her home. She had watched him transform from a weak and helpless child to a lively and happy young boy. She had grown to love him like he was her own, and had made the decision to keep him in her home permanently. She knew that it would be a big responsibility, but she was willing to take it on. However, just as she was beginning to settle into her new role as a mother figure to the boy, she heard a knock at the door. When she opened it, she was shocked to find the boy's parents standing on her doorstep, demanding that she return their son to them. Abigail was taken aback by the sudden appearance of the boy's parents, and she tried to reason with them, explaining how their son had been living on the streets and how she had nursed him back to health. But the parents were not interested in hearing her side of the story. They insisted that they had the right to take their son back and tried to force their way into Abigail's home. Abigail stood firm, refusing to let the parents take the boy away. She knew that they were not fit to care for him, and she was determined to protect him at all costs. But the parents grew more and more aggressive, and soon a heated argument turned into a physical altercation. As the fight between Abigail and the boy's parents intensified, a neighbor who had been walking past the house heard the commotion and called the police. Within minutes, a patrol car arrived on the scene, and 2 officers quickly stepped out. Abigail explained the situation to the officers, telling them how she had rescued the boy from the streets and how the parents were trying to take him back. The officers listened carefully to her story, nodding in agreement as she spoke. As the police officers tried to reason with the parents, it became clear that they were not interested in cooperating. They continued to make threats and hurl insults, even going as far as to physically assault one of the officers. In response, the officers were forced to use force to subdue the parents and take them into custody. Abigail and the boy watched in shock as the parents were handcuffed and led away in the back of the patrol car. The entire ordeal left Abigail shaken, but she was relieved that the boy was safe and sound. She thanked the officers for their quick response and for protecting her and the boy from harm. After the incident, Abigail made sure to take extra precautions to ensure the boy's safety. She installed a security system in her home, and she made sure to always keep a close eye on him, never letting him out of her sight. In the months that followed, Abigail worked tirelessly to provide the boy with the love and support he needed. She enrolled him in school, and she made sure he had nutritious meals and proper medical care. Over time, the boy began to thrive under Abigail's care. He grew taller and stronger, and he developed a bright and inquisitive mind. He enjoyed spending time with Abigail, playing games, reading books, and going on adventures together. And as for Abigail, she continued to be a beacon of hope and compassion in her community, always willing to lend a hand to those in need. She never forgot the day she rescued the little boy from the streets and the fight she put up to protect him. And every day, she felt grateful that she had been able to give him a safe and loving home.